Hey, welcome back to the Brownie Points podcast. This week, it's preseason, as you know, so we're not going to really get into all that because there's not that much interesting going on outside, of course, of Shadeur versus Dillon Gabriel. The debate will go on probably for millennia, even after they both retire. People will probably still be talking about it, especially if Shadeur doesn't get his chance, because we know how those people are. But we're going to get right into it. Shadeur versus Dillon Gabriel. We talked about Shadeur's performance. Neither of us were wowed. However, you said it was mostly bad, like 60% bad, but it wasn't terrible. I felt it was like kind of 50-50, like some good parts, some not great parts. The fan perspective seemed to be that he was really, really good. And I want to touch now on Dillon Gabriel, and then we'll segue that into Dillon Gabriel versus Shadeur Sanders. What were your impressions of Dillon Gabriel in his start against the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, so I thought he looked good. And I think most importantly, he looked in control. I think something to really take in is that first drive. So first of all, in the first drive, you're always going to get the best defense you're going to face all game in a preseason, right? So the Eagles still had a few guys in that they want to get a few reps in, some of the younger guys who are a little higher picks and that kind of thing. And you did see that in the pass rush, right? Like the pass rush in the first drive was pretty intense, actually. They were getting in pretty quickly. And I love to see it because, he handled it really well. And he handled pocket management really well, which I thought was a strength for him coming in. And it translated, and you saw it. And you saw it on the field, and it looked good, and it looked the way you thought it would look, which is really saying something this early. Because it doesn't always translate so quickly. People get really nervous, and when you get that pass rush so quickly, to still hold up was great. When he ran, you still saw, not that he ran a lot, but that one time when he ran, you still saw he has pocket management, right? He has vision. Because he didn't bail. Yeah. He looked, and then he saw a lane in front of him. He didn't just bail out. There's some people, that's what they do, and you'll notice they never have pocket management. What do? They bail. They never move up. They just sit, and then they bail.
I was going to say, they have, the wrong internal clock. Like, the best NFL quarterbacks have the internal clock, where internal clock was 1, 2, 3, get the ball out, and then you have your guys who are 1, 2, 3, bail, and they just start running out of the pocket at the slightest whisper of pressure. But you didn't really see that from Dillon Gabriel. He really seemed to manage his pocket, reset his feet, step up, step to the side. I loved what I saw, and it translated from the college game. And that, I think, was the most impressive thing for me, because we talked about that being the strength. That's why you predicted Kevin Stefanski was going to draft Dillon Gabriel. You said because he seems to be the most polished guy. He seems to have the best pocket presence. He seems like he can manage himself well there. He handles himself like a veteran QB. I mean, because he's played more college games than anyone else. But that being said, Kevin Stefanski's going to like that. He's going to like that. And they did take him. And I really felt like we saw that. We saw that pocket management translate to the preseason. Obviously, it doesn't mean it will translate to real NFL games. But it translated at least this far. And I felt like he managed the pocket significantly better than Shadeur Sanders did. Did you feel similarly, or did you feel like it was more like...
Sure. I just didn't know if we want to dive into Shadeur versus Dillon yet. That's going to be a whole segment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're doing
so
that.
I'm going to stick in Dillon for the moment.
Okay.
And then we'll jump in, because I'm going to go right at it. But, but I did want to give him his props and then talk about the negative, and then we'll compare. But I just wanted to mention that. So first of all, I really liked that first drive. Right? So he's dealing with the pocket management, but also the consistency of that drive. Because he owned that drive.
Yeah,
it was all passes. There was almost no runs. There was a few runs, but there was 2 yards, 3 yards. There was nothing really happening in the run game. And then there was a penalty, if you remember, and they lost 10 yards. And he rifled in a ball. And that ball, if you remember, he rifled it in for about 13, 14 yards. Got most of it back, and that set up the third down play. And it was fast, away from pressure, low, right where it needed to be. But also, he rifled it. It had the velocity necessary for that kind of play to make it possible. So he did that. He showed off some of that arm strength. He made a great throw, which wasn't as far, but it was on that opposite hash to Jamari Thrash, right over the defender's arms, which was the play everybody was talking about. That was great awareness. Also, more arm strength than a lot of people realize to do that, to go that far sideline, all the way to the sideline like that.
He's always had better arm strength than he was given credit for, because way too many analysts are like, he's 5'11", so he doesn't have a good arm, and they're not paying attention. Similar to what happened with Baker Mayfield. And that's a separate discussion whether you think Baker's really great or not. But a lot of analysts were like, oh, his arm's not that good. But they were just saying because he was short. He had a good arm. And
even to this
Dillon
day,
Gabriel was falling victim to the same thing. Yes,
even to this day, Baker, a lot of times people don't realize, this guy's the longest pass attempt in NFL history.
Yeah, on the statistics, Baker's got a rocket arm, but it doesn't really show. But Dillon Gabriel, I don't think he has a rocket arm, but his arm is solid, and people act like he's got a noodle.
No, and I would say he's like a little bit above average for an NFL starter right now. a little bit above, not like wild, but he's
Yeah.
right in that pack of NFL starters. That's a good arm.
Yeah.
He's got nice velocity, and so I love seeing that. And again, the consistency is so important as a rookie, like being able to make that many throws on a drive and not be deterred until you get there to the touchdown. You didn't get a chance to throw on those.
He didn't really get set back. He overcame the adversity.
Yeah, and doing it and third and longs. I think there was 3 third and longs you converted.
Yeah.
On that drive, like that's really impressive. And then he played well. And then there was that point where everybody kind of freaked out, and he had the pick 6. But the pick 6, I think he gets too much blame. First of all, the play was muddy and all that, but also the tight end Whiteheart, the ball is in catchable range. It is in his arm distance. He just pulls back. Everybody's like, "Oh well, I think he's trying to get it to Deontay Johnson." Who said he is? Like, why? Because we decided so?
Yeah, that's something the coaches probably know, but we don't.
But we don't, right? So a lot of that's going to be dealt with in the coach's room. But in the NFL, there's a rule. If it's in front of you and it's catchable, you catch it. You don't think, oh, no. It's in front of you. It's right there. You catch it. That might very well have been his intention because it looked like it was. Because honestly, to me, it's right where he's been converting it, the edge of the arm.
Yeah. For me, I'm not going to go that far. Like he threw the pick, I'm going to put the blame on him. And we'll get more into this.
Well, he deserves some blame because it's a muddy situation.
Yeah.
And when routes are bumped like that, you're better off just throwing it away. So it's still the wrong decision.
Yeah.
I don't want to come out there and say, oh well, he was perfect. And that's not what I mean.
Yeah.
I just mean that it wasn't as clear. It's more of like a rookie mistake of, hey, just knowing this situation, it's just not worth it. Even if you can make the right throw, too much chance that it will be wrong. So it's more that kind of mistake, which is a different kind of mistake, which is a mistake, but something that it's a different type. It's the way it's dealt with is different, and it's much more typical of pretty much any rookie to have that kind of error.
Yeah. And I really something else that I noticed about Dillon Gabriel was the accuracy on a lot of his balls. If you don't watch a lot of football, it looks like he almost misses them, but they're doing it intentionally, and hopefully this doesn't screw up with the mic and everything, making a lot of noises, but he was putting the ball a lot of times right here when the receiver is running like across, like going across the field. He would put the ball right over there, sorry for the listeners, but like on the outside, for the receiver's arms are stretched out. But the point of that is it's as far away from the defender as possible, and it makes it almost impossible for the defender to just reach their hands in a bad way. Because you put it on the numbers, you think that's the best place to go. But NFL quarterbacks' accuracy is on another level. A lot of times they don't aim for the numbers because the numbers is where the DB can stick their hands in. And it's not uncommon for the guys with the best accuracy to put the ball a little bit ahead, a little bit out, so it's the receiver can grab with the outstretched arms without having to jump or leap or anything too crazy, and NFL receivers can grab that, but it's further away from the DB. And Dillon Gabriel had a lot of those throws, and you'll know it's intentional because you'll see it consistently, and I felt like I did see that consistently enough to feel like he was doing that intentionally. It wasn't just that he was off target, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can accidentally throw an amazing back shoulder throw sometimes, and it's like, I don't know that he meant to do that.
It was just behind, or?
Yeah, I just think the DB wasn't facing the right direction. The receiver turned around and grabbed it, but it was, they lowballed him. But I did feel like Dillon was doing that intentionally, and I really liked that aspect of him on top of the pocket management. And I felt that, well, obviously his start was unbelievable, and it wasn't quite, like the last third was not as good as the first 2/3. But a lot of the mistakes in the last third of the game, a lot of them were just one part of it was off, not like the whole play. So, for example, not all incompletions are created equal. You might have a quarterback who gets the ball, 1, 2, 3, there's still a clean pocket, but then they see a little bit of movement on the edge and they bail on the play, they start running backwards, flipping all around, and just fling the ball out. That's a lot different than Dillon on a lot of those plays, even the incompletions, where he'd come back, 1, 2, 3, step up, shift to the side, the pressure actually gets in, tries to break away, and either doesn't or does, but misses the throw. Meaning that he did a lot of the steps up until that point correct. I saw so much more good decision making and quality pocket management, even on his incompletions. So quantitatively, when you're comparing that between Shadeur's game, you do have to remember, like, not all those incompletions are created equal, are the same. There were incompletions from Shadeur that I felt like were a lot worse than a lot of completions that Dillon Gabriel had, because Dillon Gabriel showed such excellent pocket management. And I don't know why people were so obsessed with Shadeur's pocket management in that last game. I didn't really see that. I'm not saying he had bad pocket management, but I didn't see great pocket management. I felt like Dillon actually had really great pocket management, was almost always doing his best to stay in the pocket, and even when he had to leave the pocket, he was keeping his eyes up and downfield and trying to make plays. And I just really like that from him.
All right, well, since we're diving into Dillon versus Shadeur,
We got to segue in eventually.
We're going to get into it, so can only hold out so long. I'm going to put it this way. There's an old saying. You got to walk before you run. Right? Like, it's old saying in the book, and it applies to all things in life, pretty much. And there are, every once in a while, an exception to this rule, such as Lamar. He's such a freak, physically, particularly in his athletic abilities, that he could still have some success for years while he developed on the other side of the basics of the position.
Yeah.
And he became a better passer, and now it's all good. But that's an outlier. At the end of the day, you got to know how to play the position before you can actually play the position. Before you worry about highlights, you have to worry about the ABCs. And Shadeur doesn't know how to play the position, and Dillon does. That's what I took away. And the more I look back on it, the more I dislike Shadeur's performance. The more I find problems with it. Because the more I think about it, the more I'm looking at it saying he doesn't have the fundamentals down at all. Because his best plays were from the TD passes.
Mm-hmm.
The next best play was stepping up in the pocket and hitting the 20-yarder, which was nice that he stepped up in the pocket. That alone is not going to make up for it. The guy was still wide open. But what I also saw was, first of all, not mentioned, but he had a 60% completion rate, barely 60. Well, Dillon's was over 70. So first of all, right off the bat.
And Dillon has some drop balls.
When you talk about sample size, which are smaller, in a preseason game, completion percentage is a good indicator, right? Because one big bad play doesn't tell as much to me as completion percentage. Right, because that's what's going to keep you more consistent. That speaks to your overall accuracy consistently.
Yeah.
So that's number one. But number two, look at pocket management, not good. Bad-ish. Not nearly as bad as it was, but not good. Mm-hmm. He didn't make any reads. Go back, not a single read. And there were places to make reads on, and he didn't. And that fourth down play, which he made a intentional grounding that just they decided not to call, but it was intentional grounding. There's a read.
Can you
There's
be more specific on what you mean by not making the read? Because I remember watching and feeling like there were a handful of plays where you could see his head turning across the field. And
so I mean on the throw, meaning there was no throw he made a read on. Looking and then seeing a guy who's open and throwing it to him once he's open is not making a read.
Oh, you're talking about being anticipating.
To an extent, yeah.
If you watch what we talk about anticipating, those a lot. But it's a big deal.
But there's levels of anticipation. So that's why I was trying to say that they'll read. Like, it's not saying that. Meaning you actually made a read on what's happening and they made a play based on that. Not, I looked, you're open, I found you. Like, okay, but that's not reading the play at all. I don't mean anticipation because I'm the same. It's not the same as like, a guy starting to make the turn and you're reading the feet and the coverage.
You can't always wait for people to be open in the NFL.
And Dillon wasn't doing that. Like, Dillon wasn't like making a play where he starts letting go of the ball and you're like, wait, what? And then you look back and he's leaving, which is like an expression about receivers' feet and corners' feet. It's not like that deep. Mm-hmm. But there are basic reads. For example, corners. Right? Like knowing, okay, there's a coverage, and there was a play like on the fourth corner, they were doing curls. You got to know, based on the coverage, this guy's going to be open, I got to throw it to the spot. Yeah. There's the plays he didn't make, and because of that, he got stuck and he got stuck dealing with pressure because he didn't make the read. He didn't make any reads. That's what I mean. He didn't throw to spots. He didn't do any of that. And he got bailed out twice by miraculous catches. And one of them, with that ball that's way behind Luke that he turns around on, that's a pickable type ball.
Yeah.
Because when you throw that far behind a receiver, 99% of the time, it's just floating in the air. That's very dangerous. So when you look at this, you say 60% completion rate. 2 of them were miracle catches. There were 2 balls that just completely whiffed and just head scratch miss. Like guy wide open, and you just completely waffle on it. Mm-hmm. When that's what you're looking at, that's the majority of your plays that we're talking about, the big plays. I gotta look back at it and say, I don't think it's very good. You're great that you're good in the red zone, but that's one part of the game. It's the cherry on top. It's not everything. And then
I don't know if I'd say the touchdown is the cherry on top, but
I know what you mean. Because run game is a very big part of the red zone.
If you can't get to the red zone, it doesn't really
First of all, maybe it's not fair to say cherry on top, but it's maybe the dessert. I don't know. But like touchdown passes aren't everything. The run game often does a lot of work in the red zone for you. It's very good, but you got to get there. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean.
Right.
It's the end of it. It's great, but it only comes into play if other things work out. And lucky for him, there was a turtle that helped him get one of his touchdown passes. The other one, he got bailed out by the receiver. There wasn't enough good plays. But there really wasn't. It's not a matter of highlights. It's a matter of, did you look like you knew what you were doing?
Yeah.
And what I saw there told me, I know why he is where he is on the depth chart, and they are right. And it frustrates me to hear all these people talking about it and all these people in the media. And I'm wondering, are you even watching it? Or are you just doing whatever Dion is hoping for. Because, like, honestly, it gets really tiring and it's frustrating to listen to people talking about it. They're like, oh, Dillon's jittery or something. Or, like, and Shadeur, oh, well, he just looked great. Like, no, he didn't.
Yeah.
Making a few highlight plays. You know who did what Shadeur was doing at a much higher level last year? Caleb Williams. How did that work out? And Caleb Williams is 10 times the athlete than Shadeur is. Maybe 10 times slightly exaggerative.
Yeah.
But what, 3-4 times? Because he is a phenomenal athlete and Shadeur is mediocre athlete. He's great agility, but he's not like super fast or crazy. Caleb Williams is a phenomenal arm. Shadeur is not. And Caleb Williams didn't know enough, and it showed in his first year.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb Williams was the number 1 pick for a reason because his tools are outstanding.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did it work when he didn't know the ABCs?
Right.
He did a lot in the preseason. A lot more. So I want to hear about Shadeur fixing starters because number 1, against starters, he looked terrible. And okay, it's good that you look good afterwards, but that wasn't based on starters. And number 2, you're facing second and third string Panthers defenders. It was not a good defense last year. Having a couple highlight plays isn't going to impress me. I want to see how you manage the game. He managed the game. Dillon did manage the game. I also want to make it very clear, I'm not saying Dillon is the next big thing. I'm saying his ceiling is probably Kirk Cousins. What I think he's most likely to be is a solid-ish bridge starter.
Yeah.
And I feel like his floor is a good backup. I'm not sure Shadeur will ever be even a backup. Until he understands how to play the game, he's not going to be. And right now, he's not at that level. And so I just want to clarify, because this is not Battle of the Titans. People are making out like it's Battle of the Titans. It's not. I wish it was, but it's not.
No, it's definitely not. I had a very similar overall takeaway, and thesis, I don't know if that's the right word. But basically, Dillon looked more polished. He looked more NFL ready. He looked more like he knows what he's doing. Yes, Shadeur did have some highlights, and Shadeur had some genuinely good plays that we talked about last week. And we acknowledge them. It's not like everything he did was terrible. He had genuinely good plays. But by and large, play to play, Dillon consistently looked like he knew what he was doing in the pocket. He did miss throws. He did some bad throws. He consistently looked like he knew what he was doing in the pocket. He consistently seemed like he was following the game plan and not bailing out and doing crazy stuff. Again, not saying Shadeur was doing that all the time, but overall, Dillon seemed like he was closer to that than Shadeur was. And yes, like you said, there's a reason why Shadeur is where he was in the depth chart. And yes, NFL teams sometimes make mistakes. A lot of times those guys went out. I mean, like Russell Wilson, for example, right? I mean, this is going pretty far back, I guess, at this point. He's a 3rd-round pick. And he probably did not start at the top of the depth chart, but he played really well, and so he got to start. Kirk Cousins was behind, a number 1 pick, so, it kind of took longer for him, I think, and RG3 was really good when he first played, so that made sense.
RG3 was electric.
Right. Like, late-round picks, yes, you are typically going to start at the bottom of the depth chart, so it's not like you're in a race, you're starting number 1. You're starting at the end, to be fair. That being said, he didn't do anything that indicates that he needs to be moved up. I'm sure there are people out there who have analyzed and looked and said, I think he's actually better than Kenny Pickett or whatever. I don't know. Or maybe some people who think he's better than Dillon. But let's be real here. He didn't display anything that showed me that I shouldn't say anything, but he didn't display enough to me that he should be starting. To me, he didn't display enough that you feel like he needs to be higher than 4th on the depth chart. I think where he is makes sense. I think Dillon Gabriel overall looked more composed. He looked more polished. He looked more NFL ready, which is what we expected. It's what we predicted. And I felt like that was validated. Obviously, not everyone's going to feel that way. Obviously, a lot of people are going to disagree with us. That's my takeaway. It seems like we're pretty much on the same page here. Yeah, go ahead. I was basically done. I was going to wrap up.
No, I was just which play did Shadeur make that required a knowledge of the playbook?
I mean, probably that TD play with that low ball.
Did it, though? He moved around, saw a guy, looked at the angles. None of that required a knowledge of the playbook.
I'm hesitant. If you want to go down that road, that's obviously fine.
I'm not saying he doesn't know it, but you know what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to put into words what I mean by not making you read.
Yeah, but I'm just more hesitant to go down that road because I find that you have to really have like a real superior knowledge of NFL playbooks and film to really understand what was supposed to happen. And if they went to their first and second read, sometimes it's really obvious because they move their head or they do something that's really, really, really clear to see. But a lot of times there's so much more going on that I don't feel comfortable making those assumptions that that wasn't, going to the playbook.
Is not that
I wasn't doing what the coach probably wanted to do. Like, I don't feel comfortable.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you do that. But I'm saying at the end of the day, when I looked at it, no end result play was made in a way that displayed a knowledge of what was happening.
Did Dillon have a play like that, or did you just
Yeah, a couple.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of those third down routes where that's time.
Yeah.
You looking, you get that ball out that quickly. When the ball's coming out that quickly, you knew what was supposed to happen.
Yes, he did have good timing in that.
Right.
Which is all the
He isn't looking, guys open, then throwing. Like, I'm not saying it never happened, but a lot of times it didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, so overall, we both are, I think, on the same page. We'll see if, we got the third and final preseason game
But also,
coming
this
up.
is good for Shadeur. I know people are desperate because they think he's good, but it's good for him. If he plays now, I don't want to promise anything, but if he were to play right now, if they put him as a starter, he'd be wrecked within 2 to 3 games, and he would never be good again, even if he could have been good. Do you think you can't most quarterbacks don't come back from that? And honestly, I don't think his psyche would be ready for that kind of beating. So, I mean, ultimately, here's what it comes down to. Right? We'll see what this next preseason game brings. Joe Flacco's named the starter. Not a surprise. I mean, Kenny Pickett's injured. We'll see what they try to do. You would think they would try to move someone, but this is where it gets dicey because Joe Flacco, you want to keep to start. Kenny Pickett was injured a lot, so I don't know if you're going to get the flip him for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Could be that you see them put him on the PUP list. It's a physical unable to perform list. And it gets them out for a couple weeks without using a roster spot.
Yeah.
And gives them time to make a decision. Could we see one of them get traded? I'm just telling you right now, if it's Shadeur or Dillon getting traded, it's going to be Shadeur. Assuming that there's an offer.
Yeah,
Hypothetically.
I can't see him getting traded, but yeah.
I don't think so. I think if they're going to look to move, it'll be one of the vets.
But he's not going to move
What you
up
might
that
also
chart.
see is the PUP list and then try to move Flacco. Like, you may see Flacco do up, and then they'll move him.
I think Shadeur is much more likely to be released than he is actually to get traded. I mean, right now the Browns have, there's Flacco. Is Pickett, how long is Pickett's injury for?
It's a little dicey. We're not 100% sure right now.
Right.
So you think he can come back soon, but it's one of those, like, you're not sure.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be too long.
Right. So it's not wrong. We got Flacco, you got Pickett, you got Dillon Gabriel, you got Shadeur, and you've got Tyler Huntley. They're not going into the season with 5 quarterbacks. They're going to go with 4. Someone's got to go.
Well, Huntley's going. I don't think Huntley's going to be on the roster. I think he's brought in to be a camp.
Yeah.
At that point, you're dealing with. I think Shadeur at that point.
Oh no, I agree. I do agree that Tyler Huntley is probably going to be the one who's gone. But I'm saying that, like, if something was going to happen with Shadeur, he'd probably actually just be released because I don't think they could get anything for him.
I think they could.
In a trade, you think?
Not anything serious, but I think we get something.
Well, I mean, they drafted him for a 5th-round pick, so you'd have to think the bidding is going to start at 5th and below.
Possibly, yeah. But you also never know. Like, you'd be surprised how many owners just they listen to the media, they get all hyped up.
I guess.
I mean,
maybe
Browns
after
owner
the
does.
preseason.
You think he's the only one? He's not the only one.
It's possible after the preseason somebody convinces
Somebody
themselves
goes out there,
that
offers
it's
you a 5th
better.
round back. I don't know. Again, I don't think that's where the Browns are going to look to make a move. Like, I don't think that's where they're thinking.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they're looking to keep both rookies in one bet. I
Yeah.
think that's the plan. So my guess is they're going to make a move on an injury for Pickett.
Yeah.
Unless they're really confident in him. But that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think PUP list would not be out of question so that they could then try to deal Flacco after he gets some starts, get some stats on him. Someone else feels like they need, somebody always gets a little overconfident before they get out on the field of the regular season, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, we need someone, we got an injury, or hey, these guys are really terrible. Sometimes you can make a move then. So that's what I'm thinking right now. But if you're a Shadeur fan, I'm just telling you, Stefanski, if you pay attention, there's a reason why. And like what I'm saying is exactly along the lines of thinking. The general thought. I'm not saying I am Stefanski, but
You did predict that he was going to take Dillon Gabriel, which was pretty impressive. But
I can see the direction he thinks in.
yeah.
And this is his direction. His direction, if he's going to start someone, it's going to be Dillon. So you're going to have some patience. Because until Shadeur displays a dominance in the mental faculty of being a quarterback, right? In terms of processing, in terms of pocket management, in terms of the ABCs, he's not going to be the next one.
Right, because he's not the number 1 pick. Like, the number 1 pick, you don't have to play that well. Actually, you're still going to get your time anyway.
Physical
But
prowess.
because he's in the 5th round, if you don't show that you are something incredible, you might not get a chance. Like, he may not play at all. I would suspect that he will at some point in the regular season, but he might not.
For the Browns, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not this year.
So we're going to leave it there. We'll see what happens. We'll have more predictions next week as we actually get closer to the regular season. We're going to leave it there. Thank you for listening with us this week. We will see you again next week. We're probably going to start getting into the regular season, and we can stop talking only about the preseason and have some real stuff to actually get into. Thank you for listening once again, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.